Hello friends and welcome to Sarat Chandra IAS Academy where your dreams are our mission. This is Yatharth here and today we'll be discussing an important topic that are random UPSC questions actually random. There are some questions in the exam which may seem very random to us. We don't know where they have come from and why so. So let us see how to deal with those questions. Let's consider the question as an example which came in prelims this year. So this question asked us to consider two statements, statement 1 and 2. The first statement said that marsupials are not naturally found in India. That means they do not have a stable native population in the Indian subcontinent. The second statement asked us that marsupials can thrive only in montane grasslands with no predators. So while this question may seem little random or even easy for some students to solve, let us see the mechanism behind these questions and how they come. So the question talks about a form of wildlife and it correlates it with various different concepts such as geography and environment. In environment, it talks us about the concept of food chain while mentioning the predators which are at the top of food chain. Geographically, it asks us about the montane grasslands or mountainous grasslands. And wildlife, it talks about the marsupials. So if we are to solve these questions based on knowledge, which should be our aim, to solve questions based on knowledge, not via elimination techniques, etc. So we must be able to figure out these all things and should able to be certain about our answer. So the pickups and we'll see the subject and topic and the pickups from this question. So subject and topic, as I told you, are environment, wildlife and geography and Indian geography. Let us see the pickups from this question. So the question talks about a certain form of wildlife known as marsupials. Then it says about naturally found in India. So we need to know what animals are naturally found in India and what animals are not naturally found in India and why so. Why are some animals not found in India and why are some animals found in India? It talks about the montane grasslands. So we need to at least map where montane grasslands are found in India and what is the meaning of the montane grasslands. It talks about the predators. So there's an environmental factor to this question as well. While it talks about the top of the food chain. So it's talking about the secondary or tertiary consumers here. I hope you already know this concept that the top level in a food chain are known as predators. Those who kill others and live off them, such as carnivores animal. They can be like, let's say, tiger, lion, wolves. All right. Okay. So let us attempt this question based on knowledge. Later on, we will see how to attempt this question based on some elimination techniques. So this will only apply in extreme cases and when we do not have any knowledge and we desperately want to attempt the question. So we'll just apply it in 10% of the times. All right. Okay. So first of all, let us see wildlife and animals. So the first question that comes to our mind, that what are the defining features of animals? When can we say that this thing is an animal? And this is a basic thing to know, which we must talk about because it can also come as a question and there are terms that we do not know of, such as viviparity. So I'll address these things one by one. So some defining features of animals are multicellularity. Almost all animals are multicellular. Please note down that when cells aggregate, they form a tissue. When tissue aggregate, they form an organ. When many organs aggregate, they form organ systems. And organ systems are often mechanized by nervous system. There has to be a nervous system in order to function with organ systems. One is heterotrophy. That means animals live off other animals or consume plants or other animals. They cannot make their own food. They cannot photosynthesize. They have mobility in order to get this food. They have sensory organs associated with their nervous system. Nervous system is basically a system that functions between two things. One is sensory, another is motor. This is some basic biology that you should know. As UPSC is nowadays asking questions from everywhere, just test this question as an example. It has asked about marsupials. So we must know what are marsupials, where do they come from. Other thing is developmental stages. That means an animal in their life or from the beginning of their life, from the beginning of fertilization, goes through various different developmental stages such as zygote, morula, blastula, gastrula, embryo, childhood, teenage, old age, senescence, death. So these are developmental stages which animals often face. Alright, let us now talk about a basic classification of animals. This may seem little irrelevant to you now, but it is of use when we talk about modern dynamics of the exam. So this is one thing that you should learn. This is called a vertebral column. This is present in all of us as we are vertebrates. The vertebral column, the main function of the vertebral column is to attach our CNS, that is the brain and spinal cord. This is our spinal cord, and the vertebral column harbors our spinal cord. There are various different small nerves which come out of the spinal cord like this from our vertebra, and they go to various different parts of our body such as hands, limbs, etc. That is why sometimes when we face an accident, let's say, which include the spinal injury or the vertebral injury, it may cause a disability, some kind of paralysis. Alright, so spine is basically responsible for all this, and there are animals known as vertebrates which have a vertebra protecting the spine. We are one of these animals. There's another classification between animals known as warm-blooded and cold-blooded. Cold-blooded animals are the ones who are unable to regulate their body temperature. Alright, there are warm-blooded animals which are able to regulate their body temperatures. The normal body temperature of a human is about 36 degrees Celsius. The lizards, the amphibians, the fishes are some types which have cold blood. You might have seen snakes, etc. basking under the sun. Here's a picture I'll show you. This is a picture of a ghadial. It's a well-known animal, mostly found in the Chambal region of the Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. So here you can see this animal basking under the sun in order to regulate its temperature, because this is a cold-blooded animal. So these are two major classifications. As I told you that there are two types of animals, vertebrates and non-vertebrates or invertebrates. So they have a backbone just like us or humans. Some are without a backbone. The major classifications are such as Porifera, Cnidaria, platyhelminths. They cause many diseases in human. Annelida, ringworm, etc. Here you can see the earthworms. There are mollusks. They are, you can say, snail. Then there is a Gynodermata. There is Arthropoda. It's the biggest kingdom in the animal kingdom, and it harbors many insects such as spiders, scorpions, then centipede, millipede, etc. and crustaceans. They are used for food in many South Asian countries. Alright. Then there are vertebrates, the animals with a backbone. So they are more developed animals. They are such as aves or birds. Then there are mammals. There are fish. There are reptiles. And then there are amphibians. Some of them are warm-blooded. Some of them are cold-blooded. So whenever we are talking or reading about an animal, we should know that whether this animal is vertebrate or invertebrate, or is it warm-blooded or cold-blooded. So birds are mostly warm-blooded, such as mammals, while the fish, reptiles and amphibians are cold-blooded animals. Alright, let's move forward. Here are some examples of animals. Let us first see the warm-blooded mammals, such as big animals such as bear, tiger, whale, humans. Warm-blooded birds are like ostrich, peacock, eagle. They are the animals which have good amount of food in their diet. So they are able to afford to burn the food or energy in order to warm their bodies. The cold-blooded are, let's say, amphibians like frog, toad, newt, snake, crocodile, turtle. Turtle, please remember, it's a cold-blooded vertebrate. Alright, so there are many examples further which you can see. Let us now talk about the specific class known as mammals. The mammals are mostly what we deal with in the UPSC exam also, as most of the species that it talks about or asks the questions about are mammals. So we must know the defining feature of mammals. What are mammals? So there are many classes of many animals, and mammal is one of the class. Just a second. So there are many different orders. The classification goes like this: kingdom, the biggest one is the kingdom, then there is division, then there's class, order, then family, then genus, and then species. It talks about the species. We have already seen the animal kingdom. Now we are talk about the class Mammalia or mammals. Alright, so this is the level of information you should process about the important species. Okay, let's talk about, so mammal have body hair. These are some defining characteristics of mammal. They have body hair in order to prevent themselves from getting too cold. Okay, and for protection, of course. They have 3 middle ear bones. We also have these. Females have milk to feed their young. They have mammary glands in, let's say, the human breast. Mammals take care of their young. That means the childbirth and the growing stages of a child up to, let's say, 5 years, 6 years, they are under the best care of their mothers. And mammals are warm-blooded. They are warm-blooded. They can expend energy in order to keep their bodies warm. Here are some examples of the warm-blooded mammals or mammals. You can see one class here, kangaroo here, which has been asked in this certain question. Over time, we'll see how to connect the question with this information. So here are the defining characteristics of mammals. They have mammary glands. Mammary glands, they are fat-based glands which produce the milk. They collect in the mammary organs like this, such as human breast. And the child is fed through these mammary glands. All right. Then there is hair or fur. Endothermy means they are able to regulate their body temperature internally. Internal regulation. Then there is special teeth, such as we see in ourselves. We have incisors, canines, premolars, molars. All right. There is a diaphragm that helps us breathe. There is highly developed brains which help us process information. There is viviparity. Viviparity means that the mammals give birth to a direct child. They do not have eggs or they do not lay eggs. The child is directly developed into a uterus. All right. Then there are special limbs in them for different and various functions. Let us now go to classification of mammals. That how are mammals classified further? On the base of development of uterus or development of their child, they are classified into 3 types. Prototheria, proto means the earlier ones, meta means the middle ones, and eutheria means the newer ones. They are monotremes, marsupials, and placental mammals. The question has asked us about the marsupials. So now we are sure about 2 things, that marsupials are mammalia, they are mammals, they are warm-blooded, and they are metatherians. That means young ones stay in their mother's pouch until they mature. So when we are talking about these animals, we are saying that they are viviparous. That means they do not lay eggs. They lay directly babies. So the kangaroo babies also come out as normally they should from the uterus. But it depends how they grow up. So the younger ones go inside an external pouch on the mother's body later on. The pouch is external and the placenta is connected here to feed this. Alright. The humans are example of placental mammals. I hope you have understood this already. The child upon the childbirth is fully developed and there is no more need of any placenta in order for it to live. Okay, so these are some defining characteristics of mammals. They have body hair, warm-blooded, protect their young. They have mammary glands, a backbone, three middle ear bones, specialized teeth, and they often display viviparity. Alright, let's move further. So let us see what are the different types of mammals also. This can come as a question now. Very important. The primates, they are a very important group of animals. So they include humans. So humans belong to primates. There are apes, monkeys and pomicians such as lemurs. They are not found in India. They are characterized by having grasping hands and feet, forward facing eyes and highly developed brains. Primates are known for their complex social behaviors and cognitive abilities. So this is about primates. Then there are ungulates. The UPSC can ask in the same way it has asked about the marsupials, that what are ungulates. So they are mammals with hoops. They can be further divided into two main groups such as Artiodactyla and Perissodactyla. This is not important for us. However, you can read from the video's screenshot. Alright. Horses belong to Perissodactyla. They are basically even-toed and odd-toed. That means their hoops are either, if there are three hoops, or if there is single hoof, then they would be considered in the Perissodactyla. Dactyl means the finger. Then there are carnivores. Carnivores are mammals that primarily feed on meat. They have sharp teeth such as lion, tiger, wolves, bear and foxes. They are considered the predators in the food chain. Then we talk about the marsupials. This came as the question. So marsupials are a group of mammals characterized by giving birth to relatively underdeveloped young that completes their development in a pouch. They are mostly found in Australia and nearby regions. Examples of marsupials include kangaroos, koalas, wombats and opossums. The koalas, we have seen a lot of them in the Americas. Alright, so when we talk about the rodents, they are also the largest group of mammals and they are characterized by continuously growing front teeth that they use for gnawing. This group includes animals such as mice, rats, squirrels, beaver and porcupines. Another question came about squirrels from the rodent group of Mammalia. So two questions from here. So it leaves no doubt that this topic is important. We should read about it. Back to back, two questions from marsupials and rodents. Marsupials direct question, rodents squirrel question in the prelims 2023. So if still there is doubt in your mind that should be read all this biology, you must, because the prelims is also working for IOFS and the people who are attempting it for IOFS will get to attempt all these questions, plus the people who are attempt just for, let's say, IAS should also read this basic biological knowledge in order to attempt these questions which are specifically designed for IOFS. IFS, sorry. Okay, then there are cetaceans. Cetaceans are marine mammal. Please remember these. They include whales, dolphins and porpoises. This name can come and you may not be able to recognize what are these. Alright, so the dugong also in this. Bats are also group of mammals capable of sustained flight. So bats are also mammals. Please remember their four limbs form wings. Bats are found in diverse habitat worldwide. They are insectivores. They primarily feed on insects and other invertebrates. Example include hedgehog, shrews and moles. Then there are marine mammals. So marine mammals are like seals, sea lions, walrus and polar bears. Alright, so this was a basic classification of the mammals. Let us talk about the egg-laying mammals as well. They are a special category. So platypus is one of these mammals. It's found in Australia and Tasmania. Then there is short-beaked echidna. It's also found in Australia and New Guinea. The term Tasmania is a little confusing for us, so let us see what is this. So it was earlier known as Van Diemen's Land, an island state of Australia. It's near to Australia, and it's separated by a relatively shallow Bass Strait. So it's also some part of geography that we should address here. This is Bass Strait. And this is Tasmania. It actually exists, not just a imaginary name, and it's an island state of Australia. These are a platypus. This is a platypus. So they are mostly found in near Australia, Tasmania, and New Guinea. They give eggs, or they lay eggs.